Ladies and gentlemen, children of the interwebs out there, Sebastion Envi, strong style cinephile, your reigning defending SCW Cruiserweight Champion, of course. Now, Thunderbolts. Let's geek about it for a scant few minutes. A few Thunderbolts notes, as well as some general Marvel stuff, some interesting comments from Kevin Feige lately, and some more insight into the course correction that we're seeing with the MCU. Now, Thunderbolts came out last weekend. It was amazing. If you haven't seen it yet, you should see it. As I had said in my review of it, pretty good movie all around. Good performances, good cast chemistry, and it really hit me on some depression slash like trauma processing and levels that I did not think it was going to, but it did. And it did. Just looking online, social media, and on the tiki-taki and shit like that. There are other people that it resonated with them the same way. A lot of people are coming away saying this is a true, like this is a mental health like story. So it had a profound effect on a lot of people. It was good. You should see it. It hit a $162.1 million worldwide opening box office off a budget of 180 million. Of course, we don't know if that includes if that's like 180 for the movie plus marketing, which is another 50, 60, 70 million, or if it was maybe like 100 million budget film, which I could see that, and maybe it's like 80 million on marketing. So we'll see what what kind of legs this film has. We'll see next week or this, the end of this weekend, what the drop off is. Is it large? Is it small? Like there's always a percentage drop off. It remains to be seen kind of what it is. The not surprising death of Taskmaster. Apparently the writer of at least a draft of Thunderbolts was surprised when he went to the premiere, and I don't know if it was the premiere, but the first time he's seen it, he did not, or at least he said, I see it floating around on socials, that he had not known that Taskmaster was going to get taken out as early as she did, because apparently there was at least a draft in the script. Who knows if they shot it, but there was a draft of the script where Taskmaster had a couple notable things about her for the film. Number one, she was going to be in the film the whole time. She was going to strike a bond with Ava, who was Ghost, and they were going to kind of bond over the, I guess, shared trauma of being lab rats and having their minds just affected by just being in a lab and kind of raised that way and turned into various things that, the people that they were turned into. They were going to kind of trauma bond over that. Also, she was going to have like issues with her memory and her short-term memory, and she was sent to kill Walker. And there'd be a few times in the movie as like a little gag where she would forget that they were actually friends ish and working together, and she would just go off and try to kill Walker to fulfill her mission or whatever. They'd have to like dogpile on her to pull her off and say, hey, no, hey, we're all friends, like, remember? But that was left on the cutting room floor. I think that while the sort of the bond between her and Ava, Ghost, giving her some more lines would have been cool. The whole Walker like amnesia gag, I think would have been a little bit too much comedy, humorous stuff. It would have taken away from the seriousness of some of the moments of the film, the more serious kind of tone of the films. I think it, even for the MCU, because there were some funny moments in this with the Red Guardian, how he was, some of the banter between like team members. I think the whole thing with like Bob and like the name Bob and like there's a part in there. There are a whole bunch of they say Bob a whole bunch of times, and it's just it's funny in this situation. I think it would have been a little bit too much for the MCU for this film, and it was rightfully left on the cutting room floor. I think the film is good for it, but it was just interesting little factoids that are coming out about Thunderbolts, which has now been kind of renamed on the posters and stuff like that as like the new Avengers, which of course is a thing in the film. If you've seen it, yeah. So it's interesting how everything is kind of like coming together. But I just thought those were interesting and cool. Another thing on it, apparently the director is kind of hinting that Mel, the character of Mel, like Valentina's assistant in this, could be Songbird. Like, I love the Thunderbolts. I love the comic book Thunderbolts. Masters of Evil that were posing as heroes. Then you have some of them that actually like to be heroes, most notably among them, Songbird. She's been pretty much a hero, like, since. Um, but having Mel as, like, Songbird, like, nah, bro. Like, that is not it. And I'm really hoping. And I've seen some reactions to that online where people were like, yes, cool, make it happen, and blah, blah. I was like, nah, nah, no, not at all. Please, no. On the other um, Marvel front, Kevin Feige apparently did a interview, I think, with Wall Street Journal, and one of the things he was lamenting was the fact that he wanted to get away from having to, or he wanted to get away from feeling like the audience has to sit through like 20 other movies to understand the movie that they're going to watch, which has become the problem with the MCU. It's like homework. You can't just go leave your brain at the door and enjoy a good movie for a couple hours. It's like you have to have done the homework um, to know what's going on in this film or that film or whatever. He wants to get away from that. I wholeheartedly agree on that. You can still do world building, connective, like tissue type of stuff without being as just heavy handed um, and just bad, just plain bad as they did it with the last slew of movies, I guess, in Phase 4, which apparently Feige also said that it was a problem with quality versus quantity. They were just hammering out all these shows and movies and shit like that to fill content space for Disney Plus. And God, what did he say? He was just trying to be a good. I think he said he was trying to be a good corporate soldier. I might be paraphrasing that. He wanted to be like a good corporate something. Um, and just toe the party line and that sort of thing. So he just went along with it. He recognized that there wasn't time to really sit down and think out these projects creatively. There wasn't time to sit down and look at them when they're like in production and realize, oh shit, this works, this does not work. We need to like kill that, redo this, and that type of thing. There just was no way to do that. So we got all this terrible shit. You got Secret Invasion, which just sucked. You had the other Marvel shows, which like started off like okay, and then like got shitty in the middle, and then petered out towards the end. Something I bitched about so often. It's one of the things I liked, and this is exactly what I was like hoping for. The fact that like hopefully Daredevil would signal a turning point that because we all know what Daredevil was going to be, like straight up like courtroom shit for like 30 episodes or some stupid number. But they looked at it. D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox had some input in it and said, "No, this shit sucks." Bernthal wasn't going to come back to play Frank because he was like, "No, this shit sucks." And they course corrected and pivoted, and now they gave us the first season Born Again, which is fucking phenomenal. So I'm hoping that this carried forward through the processes, like the thought process, the creative process of the movies that we have coming up. Because now, like basically, like this year, it's like we had Thunderbolts, then we've got Fantastic Four. It's coming up. Spider-Man's gonna be the next movie, and then like Doomsday. Like, there's not a whole bunch of other stuff really, so they can focus on these movies, projects, and stuff. So hopefully that indicates that they will be much better quality going forward. Remains to be seen how it all plays out. If they start sticking the landing more like they used to, who knows? Apparently, there's a 10-year plan with the X-Men, and that's going to be like the linchpin of the MCU going forth, which, I mean, everybody's kind of been waiting on that. So I guess it's time. We'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, kind of interesting. I love my dog, even though she's noisy pain in my butt sometimes. Love that dog. Remains to be seen how it all plays out. Like I said, if they stick the landing, cool. We'll all find out together, as we always and often do. But those are some of my thoughts on a couple things, scattered as they often are. What do you guys out there think? Let me know in the comments below. Follow me on social media. Talk to me there. Talk to me here. Fuck Nazis. Nazi sympathizers. Fuck the Avs right now because we blew it against the Dallas Stars. But hey, the Knicks won. They stole one against Boston. So I'm happy about that. At least one of my sports teams has given me something to smile about. But anyway, till next time, let us geek.